It should be good now, yeah? Yeah, it should be fine.
Very well.
Alrighty then, let's get started. So, here's Labrys. This is a character I've been using for a while. Some people are familiar with, some people are not. In fact, a lot of people are not familiar with it, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this video. General overview of Labrys. She has 5 axe levels.
You coming?
Because when we get to green, this should be about the middle of green. In green, that combo is possible. Now, when we go back to blue, that doesn't go nearly. I'm not in red, and I'm still only in yellow, which means, hey, guess what? I got reversaled. I should add and record DP, but like, hey, I got reversaled, and now I'm back down to green, or in which case blue in this particular scenario, since I was in green there. And that was 50 meter gone, and I just lost my momentum. She's a very momentum-based character. So you want to get this momentum and keep it as long as possible until they die. You want to make it so that you want to stay in red axe so that you have to make as few calls as possible in order to kill them. Like, okay, I'm in red. Guess what? I just made it. And he's dead, because by the time I've gotten to the corner, he's dead. He's straight up dead. That's what you're going for. You want to make as few calls. You want to have to make as few calls as possible, because it's like when you get moved down to blue or like gray when it goes really south, that's when every bit of damage you have just gets murdered. So let's go through her tools, just so you could get a basic idea of what she goes for. In neutral, I'm going to bring up something Base mentioned a couple days ago, how there are like 3 layers to how a character plays. The first layer is I have to take everything. Second layer is I kind of have answers for some stuff, but I'm still on the reactionary end. And the third level is I'm on the offensive end and you have to take all my shit. Now, Labrys on defense and sometimes offense is in the first group. She has to take a lot of shit and constantly work around it. But in neutral, she's closer to the second group, where she's pretty much in the second group, where it's like she has to work around other people's options. Like for Narukami, I have to work around 5B and jump back fireball. I have to work around those. Like I'm not the one establishing my pressure. I'm working around his. So here are the tools she has for that. For characters like Chie or Akihiko, or like just characters with stubbier normals in general, she's gonna 5A a lot. 5A is one of her better ground tools, especially for those characters, because it's like it's big, it's dumb, it's 7 frames, it goes into stuff on block. It's like I get to very easily hit confirm. Like if I got to red, just look at how long I had to react to the fact that I hit him. It's like I get to confirm into block or hit from really far. I get to it has pretty small whiff recovery for a normal this big. I mean, it's not Sho or Minazuki 5A, but it's still pretty short. Now in versus characters like Narukami or like or Sho or Minazuki or someone like that, depending on for most distances, you're probably gonna end up using sweep, because it's also big dumb normal with little whiff recovery that lets me confirm into stuff on hit or block. Except this is both bigger and goes under some of their bigger normals, and it pushes her forward. Just look at how giant this is. Just look at how far the sweep hits from. Run of 5A takes that long, sweep takes that long. And stuff like Narukami 5B gets beat by it, because it's just attributable. Now, what used to be one of her much better ground tools was 2B, just because, again, also big giant normal that's also air unblockable. Back in vanilla, that was one of her better ground tools, but it got really nerfed this game because now it has a whole bunch of whiff recovery. Like, that was actually just that reactionary and a crash confirm. So it's like it's a very scary thing to whiff. It used to be like I probably wouldn't have even got punished last game, but now he just gets a free counter hit crash confirm. So again, that's why sweep became such a huge thing. Now, while sweep doesn't actually confirm into much on hit, on counter hit you can confirm it into like SB guillotine and stuff like that. It'll go into SB guillotine naturally in 2.0. But that's just one of the things sweep will give her. Now that's just a random confirm. Don't bother with that. Her tool. A lot of people will bring up JB, just jumpy, just fucking that normal because hey, big gigantic jump normal. But that's more to supplement her ground game than to replace it, because it's not one of the best. It was the OG back in vanilla, where everyone had to work around that JB and try to anti-air it really hard. But like ever since Sho and Minazuki JB happened, and Rise JB happened, and Adachi Marie and Margaret JC happened, it kind of lost its touch, especially since. But like that was always a thing. Like you always had to worry about getting anti. So you mainly use it for when you wouldn't go in on the ground, like versus JB. It's more matchup specific. Again, really, it's more matchup specific, but it's also really player specific. Like if you see someone autopiloting a lot of their ground options, you can kill them with that. Like if you see an Narukami that's just gonna run up 5B a lot, you could be like, you could just whiff punish him for it. Because it's better overall In that scenario, it's better punish than sweep because it doesn't require any meter to confirm. And it's a really dumb fatal starter. But again, it's a very matchup specific thing for which normals you're going to use. Like I am gonna show you one of Labrys' more interesting matchups, just in neutral wise, just based on buttons, because ends up being this huge like rock paper scissors this game now. Last game it was sort of like this, but it got really changed. Like in neutral, there was like versus Mitsuru. Okay, last game, Labrys 2B went under Mitsuru 5A. Doesn't anymore because they adjusted the hitbox because it completely whiffed her crouching. Now you have to sweep it because it's chest attribute and sweep is chest invul. To answer that, Mitsuru can JB or alternatively coup or alternatively coup droit. So I sweep, she gets a counter hit off that. So that ends up being a rock paper scissors game. Now I'm gonna stop being bad so I can record this properly. So you do that, and coup droit will still hit you, but if you neutral jump, you can kill that. That's where JB would supplement. That's where it would supplement your ground game. Mitsuru is not a character you would 5A as often, unless you're mashing out of her pressure, because there's a lot of different scenarios you can. But like, you see it, you jump over it, and you hit her. You don't just jump in willy-nilly because her 2B is a thing. Okay. That goes like really far. That goes really far. It is head invuln from the 8th frame on. It used to be invuln from the 5th frame on, so that's fucking... It actually got nerfed this game, but it's still really strong if you just do this willy-nilly. As far as air-to-air goes, JB is... It's pretty good. It's a lot better if they're above you. Coming from below, it's really strong. Coming from directly above, it's really strong. But like, generally on equal ground, her JB is too slow, and it'll often lose. It'll often lose with the faster ones like Sho's JB or Minazuki's JB. Or it's the same JB, but like JC and stuff like that. Now that's generally how she'd address... Now that's generally what you'd use her normals for, and her normals end up being a big part of her game. You want to stick in that general... general mid-range unless you're directly in. Like, you want to be either over here, like right at your 5A range, maybe just a little bit out. If so, like if you want to call out, if you want to just wait out for rolls and stuff, like. And as you saw, I get to harass people from really big range with that. So that's generally the range you want to be at. You can mess around with the mid range a lot. I forgot to explain her C normals also. 5C is more of a long range poke when you expect them to come in. Like, say I'm fighting Margaret, I'm over here. That's when I would apply it. 2C isn't really a thing you want to use in neutral unless you're trying to call out very specific things, like say you're fighting Kanji or Sho, and Kanji will do JC to try and answer your 2B, and you just kill him for that. But there are other answers for that. So generally in neutral, it's not a good idea. It's more a pressure thing. Now let's go into our specials now that I've got the normals sorted out. Oh right, I forgot to explain the D normals. You know why I didn't explain the D normals? Because they're fucking shit, that's why. So it's because they take too long to... Now please forgive my language on this. I realize it's not professional. I probably shouldn't do that. Now, anyway, here are the D normals. There's JD and there's 5D. No other variations on that. 2D is the same as 5D. It's just hold 2, it's C, it's 5D. It's the same thing. 5D sets this up and does that. It's mainly used in combos because of how slow it is. You can't really use it consistently in pressure. It's like really fake all the time. You can use it for certain specific Oki setups, but it's really sketchy. JD can kind of be used in neutral to keep yourself safe at like this just over mid-range or so. Because it stays out really long and you can get a full confirm on counter hit. And also, one thing to note is that every one of Labrys' Ariadne normals are projectile attribute. Like, see, they're level 4 projectile, actually. Which means pretty much any projectile that's not like Margaret's spear or like a super will usually get canceled out by whatever Ariadne normal you use. Like... Okay, that was bad. So that can be interesting to note for neutral. If you're fighting a character with like a really heavy projectile neutral and you're trying to call that out, you can use a C normal to cancel it. So that they have to work their way in like more honest. So now that that's established, here's your specials and here's what they're for. Here's Chain Knuckle. It's okay. It's alright. It's alright. It's not that bad. You can use it to like call out stuff at the long range. I don't recommend it unless it's a really hard call out. Or you use SB version, because SB version is actually projectile invuln. And there was actually no way for me to lose that scenario, because it's like, even if it touched me, even if I hit the persona only, then the projectile would still pass me, because it's like I've made it in. Now, you can use it in pressure. It's actually decent. It's actually pretty decent for pressure, because it's like 5AA is -6, so that's actually punishable. So what you can do is you can have him block. And then he'll try to mash after 5AA, and you can catch him mashing with Chain Knuckle. And from Yellow Starter, I think that was Yellow Starter, I just hit him with 4.5k and put him into the corner. Now, Chain Knuckle's follow-ups are the overhead, which goes into another overhead and like nothing else. It doesn't cancel into another Chain Knuckle or arrow or something like that. It just cancels into guillotine. Then there's the low, and then there's the run through. It's mainly used for combos. However, it can be decent in block strings because it is 0 on block, which means that you and the opponent recover on the exact same frame. And look at the distance she's at too. So like, it can be kind of sketchy for punishes, and especially versus like the characters with slower 5As. And as you can see, I just whiff punished his 5A because of the distancing. Now, the problem with Chain Knuckle is the option select that's been available since vanilla. In that you can block now, you can always block, but the point is that you can the option select is that you can block low and mash DP. Now, that's if you fuck it up, because it's like the low and the run through are legit block strings, whereas the overhead is not. You can actually bait that out this version because now you can jump cancel the pull in, so you can do this number. And make it completely whiff. Now that's just feeling myself about it. But anyway, so that's Chain Knuckle in a nutshell. Long screen, full screen, it's really sketch because it's like there's a lot of time to punish, and it's look at all that whiff recovery. So it's like if you see it, all that startup, you can actually just jump it, and usually you'll be fine. Now there's the arrow, which is referred to in English as Weaver's Art Sword. I just call it the arrow. Other people call it spear. It's the same thing. You have an A version, a B version, a C version, and a D version. A version goes there. B version goes there. C version goes there, and the D version goes there. You can use it for neutral. I don't really myself, though it's a thing popular with other Labryses. Though the main purpose of it is the main thing that Labryses use it for is Oki. Now, your basic combo to go into Oki would be that. And as you can see, the arrow does not meaty him. The arrow is not a meaty arrow. What you do with it is it's sort of similar to Rachel in BlazBlue, like her frog Oki, where that you meaty them and then the frog makes another block string. Like, say he'll just stand, he'll get hit by the low, and yeah. Block switching disabled. Now, you'll see. Now, if she ever does arrow on block, that is like absurdly unsafe, and that's a thing you should always watch out for. Like, I'm not quite sure how unsafe, so let's test that right now. That's pretty unsafe. So that can actually just murder you, because he had enough time to 5B, which I believe is 10 frames, which means that someone else can like 5A you for it. Now look at the block stun on that. I'm gonna have him. I'm gonna be Narukami, and then I'm gonna have them do the Oki setup, and I'll show you how it works. I think of it, I should have had fucking Labrys Player 2 anyway. Okay, so there's one big mix-up you get off arrow Oki. Oh yeah, by the way, she's gonna use she's gonna use the B version most of the time. So at least just based on distancing. So yeah. Like I blocked the first hit, that was a legit block stream. After I block the arrow, she has all that time until I can DP. Like I can either DP on wake up. I said DP on wake up. Or I can DP after blocking the 5A, in which case she'll safe jump it and the arrow will keep him from doing anything else. Or I will have to take the high-low. Like, you see that? Did you see that? Let's do that again. He had to take that. I was actively mashing DP while putting the arrow block stun. The arrow block stun is really huge and should not be looked over. So that's how she'd get high-low off of it. Now, anyway, now that's enough about arrow. Let's go into this. This is one of my favorite specials. This is a new special she got. This is the bubble, also known as Hoju, also known as like Weaver's Art Jewel or some shit. I don't know. Let's look at this. Weaver's Art Orb. Yeah, it's the orb. So, this is kind of the opposite of the arrow, where it's like you wouldn't see it used very often for Oki, but you would see it a lot more in neutral. Like, the C version is a lot faster. Oh, and it can be dash cancel, by the way. Like that's a regular recovery. But you can also dash cancel it, so you can keep Ariadne safe from getting hit, at least from over here below. So C version is quicker, but it only covers that angle. This arc is getting changed in 2.0, but no, I'll discuss all the 2.0 changes later. But so C version's fast, but it only covers that angle. So, as you can see there, I'm just standing there, and that does not affect me whatsoever. It only affects me if I'm in the air. And so, you see that one mainly used for combos. Then there's the D version, which covers that angle. So, you would use that to supplement your ground game, like your long distance. So, they have to play around that. Like, they see the bubble. And it's like, okay, so now they have to work around that. They'll have to either, like Narukami, Narukami can slide through it. Narukami can slide through it because slide goes under everything. But the bubble will still stay on block. If Labrys is blocking, you're fine. It's only on hit or throw tech that it'll go away. So, at least once it's out. Like, if you hit Ariadne before the bubble comes out, then that's fucked. But if you hit Ariadne... Fuck. If you hit Ariadne... Getting the timing on this is weird, but... So anyway, just take my word for it. If you hit Ariadne once the bubble's already out, it's not gonna work. As you saw there, the bubble still stayed, and she just blocked slide. So now, watch what happens with that. So that's how you cover your neutral. It's like they see it, they're like, I'm going to harass you, and I just jumped into 2B. So that's how you'd play around with that. Am I missing anything? I don't think I am. I don't think I'm missing any specials or anything. Okay. Oh, that's right. I missed guillotine. Okay. This is mainly a combo thing. This isn't really a thing you do in neutral. It's mainly either for combos or you're doing it in pressure as your main overhead. This and the air version, they're all right. They're not the greatest, unfortunately. If you IB the first hit of 214A, that's this. You can DP the second hit, and that's one of her shortcomings. And that if you IB the first hit of her overhead, which is not an overhead, you can just kill her for it. Also, the obscene whiff recovery. On block, it's -5, which means that she has to take whatever you toss out after. Now, it does have this obscene pushback, so you can still win in a lot of weird scenarios. Like, in that. So, except the B version, while being way slower and a lot more reactable, is neutral on block. So you get to have a lot more leeway there. And it's still, goes really far. Also, look at that distance. And it's also really active. Like, did you see when that hit me? Because that hit me after it was finished. Because the hitbox itself is actually active after the swing is done. So that's that. The SB version is for specific combos. You'd mainly use it in Red Axe, like for this. But, okay, that's your specials. Now to go for system mechanics. All out attack, AOA. Don't use this. Don't use this. It's fucking garbage. It's absolutely not. It's not worth it. It is not worth it in the slightest. Because it's got large range and isn't overhead and is guard pointed. But how'd you look at this? That's why you do not use AOA. Because it is minus enough to get for Narukami to get a 5C counter hit. That is not a thing you want to use. And not to mention, you can still get popped out of it. Like, you can still guard point specific stuff, but like you can guard point the startup, but it's not for the active frames. It's sort of like how her DP works. Now, speaking of DPs, let's move on to this. So let's have her DP on Wake Up. explain why that's bad. Because guard point sucks. Because I could take all that time, all the time in the world. And then just kill her for it. And just kill her for trying to DP, and then it's like, I just got a counter hit DP, I did some damage, and she's back in the vortex. It's kind of useful versus certain characters like Margaret, because of how her pressure works, because it's like if you stick with autopiloting your big dumb persona normals, then like your big gigantic persona normals and autopilot into specials especially, she's gonna kill you for it. And then it'll kill people that like autopilot, and it'll kill throws. It'll whip punish throws, so that's nice. You can kind of use it there. You can kind of use it if you're calling out stuff like command grabs. But guard point still sucks, and it's still 26 frames, so like so anyway, her throw is 5 frames. It's a pretty standard throw. You can't get any combos off it without meter, unless you happen to get a counter hit throw in Red Axe, because... Let's get me to Red Axe real quick. Because it's treated like a fatal, even though it actually isn't. It's not listed as a fatal, but it's treated as one. Now... her air throw is pretty interesting in that she can get a combo off of it if she's close enough to the corner. Like, that doesn't even have to be counter hit just because of how it works. Just get that wall bounce. Pop, 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 pop. Now, it's also really sketchy at the lower axe levels, so sometimes you might just want to do that number. So that's just really easy way to confirm into knockdown. Let me think, what else? Her defensive options, you'll need to make really heavy use of the system mechanics. I'll need to be playing as Labrys for this one.
Welcome to the Velvet Room.
Picture in your head your own very well.
System mechanics are a thing you have to be very aware of. You have to be aware, because since her DP is very not good, you have to be constantly aware of what options you can do to address something. Like that. Like there, he could have canceled the Rekka into DP. And you saw that. You saw how much time he had in between the 5C and the 2C gap. Because of how the DP slows down due to the guard point. That's actually getting removed in 2.0, so thank God. Because it's like, now it won't slow down anymore. So it's always going to be the same speed, and he'll have to actually react to it. But that's still sketchy. So, one thing you should note, guard cancel's the thing. It's not very good in my opinion, but since it does cause a knockdown on counter hit, and it is a big gigantic hitbox, and it has a weird animation, it's understandable sometimes. But I personally prefer guard cancel roll because of, just look at how far this goes. Now I'm actually fucking up my punish, but so you can't press a button after that because it's like I just fucked up his autopilot pressure. Rolls are a thing you should look for, but you should be really, it's still a very sketchy thing to have. Like, let's just say he's freaking, what can Narukami jump cancel? Can he jump cancel 5C? No, he can't jump cancel 5C. Never mind. Let's just go 5A. So say he went into 5A jump cancel pressure. So let's say he did that. You would, if someone is doing jump cancel pressure where they're jumping forward with a large gap, that's generally speaking a good roll point. Or like, in those cases you can 2B, but if you don't want to have to make that guess and just want to get out, you can peace out. So those are the general mechanics you have to be aware of. So let's see. Any mechanics I am forgetting? No, at that point it'd just be matchup specific. Always be aware of what meter you have, and oh, I didn't go into her supers. I'm an idiot. Okay, so let's get I know, let's get Mina's Margaret for this one. Mina Margaret. Mina's Margaret, yeah.
I wish you good luck.
So, she has 3 supers. But I want you to act like she has 2, because one of them is Brutal Impact. Now, this is arguably the worst super in the game. Because of that. And also because of this. Okay, so, you know what? I need to have Labrys do this on defense. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to showcase how bad Brutal Impact is. So I'll play Margaret. Then I'll have Labrys. An Awakening only Personalist super, and arguably the worst super in the game. It not only takes a billion years to start up, but it also has a follow-up. Oh, right, she's not an Awakening. So, you can do that to her. It has that much recovery. So, you can end up just getting murdered for it. Also, in certain scenarios, depending... I'm not sure if Margaret's DP will work on it, but I'll see if I can.
Now rest. Let the
If by some miracle of God you get this to trigger as a counter, that can happen. Now you need to delay it a bit because it's actually so slow it'll catch people DPing too early. Now that's a super you should just pretend doesn't even exist. You only use it in like really fancy Neta Red X combos. And by Neta I mean impractical stuff. So now now outside of Awakening, she has one super. That's this. Now it's guard point, but it does also beat everything. Like just head on, you're not beating it. Power Slash doesn't beat it. Let's see if Hasatobi beats it. Nope, Hasatobi doesn't beat it. Power Slash loses. Now the thing is that it's guard point, so you can still one more cancel off of it. But there's only one character that can reasonably DP cancel out of it and save himself. Margaret will die. Margaret will die. Pretty sure Resave will die. Actually, two. Those two characters are Narukami and Naoto. Because Naoto can cancel into her DP and then cancel into safety, which is just backdash canceling it, and then get completely out because she can hold it. Now let's see if I can replicate. Narukami just completely got out. Now let's see if he can punish. Heh. Like he hit that super late. Let's have her block after, because it's fatal counter recovery until you hit the floor. But you can still get punished. Like as you saw there, she got punished. Let's just double check to make sure she's still blocking after. Yep, still a punish. So it's decent as a reversal if they don't have meter. If they do have meter, you really got to be sketch about it, especially because if they're in neutral, they can just roll it. They can just roll it and get a free fatal counter on you. Fatal counter, whatever starter. So, I'm not an Narukami player, that's obvious, but now there is one of her more interesting supers, and that's Gears. Gears is pretty interesting because, generally speaking, if they don't have meter, they're not going to answer it. Very few characters have a meterless answer for it. Narukami has a meterless answer in Super Jump JD. But that's still kind of sketch. Akihiko gets a full punish with Jump Forward JC. Kanji can do his 214D, his delayed grab, and catch her out of it. Yosuke can moonsault over it, if I remember correctly. But if they have meter though, it's always something you gotta watch out for. Like it does have a lot of invuln on startup though, so it's like just direct answers might kill you. But if Narukami did like D cross slash, that'll happen. And also one thing to note, this is gonna make you really sad.
Die while a million are born.
Now, Now, the fun part about this, if you don't die immediately, is that it's plus on block, so you have enough time to fully go into that mix-up off it. So, even on IB, it's still like really plus. It's somewhere around plus 30, I want to say. Now that we've gone to her supers, let's go into her, and I've established her general game plan. Let's go into her pressure.
Picture in your head your own appearance.
I'm gonna give fucking... Who is a good example for showing her pressure? Let's do it versus Yukari.
Here goes. I wish you good luck.
So generally, her pressure doesn't go for really strong, just straight up high-low mix-up. Since her main overhead is that, and I mentioned why you shouldn't go into AOA earlier. Her pressure strings are mainly gonna be like staggering with this, because this is just, you either do you do stuff like that, because 2A is only -1, and -1 point blank is pretty not bad. Or you do like this and just harass them and try to get them to mash something. Or you can do that, or you can go into 5B now, which is pretty nice, and go into your really just, hey, I'm hitting you from over here block strings. So that block string is, let's go into that block string. Again, I really should have put Labrys as player 2, because the answers to her pressure, I can't get the dummy timing right. So I'm gonna play Yukari, and the dummy's gonna be Labrys, and then there we go. You can, for someone who doesn't know the pressure, you can usually harass them with that and just get them to panic. For those that do, you usually want to save that until later, when they're already trained to deal with your other stuff. Like that seems pretty straightforward, right? Seems like that's an alright block string to take, and pretty interesting for the Yukari matchup in particular. That happens. Until you find out that 5C is chest attribute. And she still shouldn't do it point blank, because you can do that. Now, if they're unready for it, they're still going to get clipped. And especially if they just regularly mash DP, they can still die. So with that, you kind of try to bait them mashing. Like, hey, you just did 5B. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run up sweep. That's just another thing. Especially after 5B, one thing I like to do is like do delay sweep after. Because it's like, it seems like I was done. and so catching them panicking, catching them trying to jump out or something, I might catch them with the sweep. And even then, it still has pretty little whiff recovery. That's actually a lot tighter than it looks. When you do this normally, it's tight. Unless the first hit of guillotine whiffs, in which case they can mash. Point blank, it's tight. Unless you IB. Now this is one problem in this block string. If you IB the first hit, the second hit of 5AA. Now if I can stop being bad at IBing, you can do that. So let's look at that again. If you IB that, that's not a legit block string. So that whenever she does 5AA, she now has to play this rock, paper, scissors game. Of like having to block your DP or like let you mash or like whatever. Because it's like, hey, guess what? I just IB'd that. Now it's -8. That was a punish. So, again, that's another thing you need to be wary for and be very careful with your timings when someone's trying to IB you. Like, you might end up catching them with the delay 5AA. What I went into earlier, what I went into in that other string was hop cancel stuff. Now, when you do it like this, you can make it plus on block depending on how late you do the JB. And that's actually a tight block string. But, let's see. Let's see if I got a space right. Oh yeah, also 5C is neat for block strings because it's like you get to do a lot of stuff that normally wouldn't be tight off of it. Is it still showing up as DMC3? It should not be showing up as DMC3 by now. Anyway, so you saw all that block string she did. And she was still extremely plus after. Like, my button barely came out. And I just got fatal for it. The gap is relatively small. Now, it's not an overhead, but it is just the max pressure you can get. And what you can do is that if they just start blocking low, they might get hit by the delay of air guillotine. Funny thing about this, only the second hit's an overhead. The first hit's a mid, so you can block low, high, low. Let's see, what else about our pressure? Oh yeah, frame traps. So you basically harass them with this, try to get them to mash, and then when they mash, you do the third hit. Because 5B fatal, I'm sure you're aware how hard 5B fatal hurts. Otherwise, you would, like, as Labrys, you try to frame trap with everything. Literally everything you try to frame trap with. If it's not trying to be a frame trap, you're not doing it right. Most of the time, generally speaking. Like, if they try to punish sweep, you would do, like, if they try to react to sweep and not directly canceling into it, you can do 2 and 4A to catch it a lot of times, but it's kind of sketch since it's still -6. Sweep is still -6, I mean. And so... Also, something to note is how Chain Knuckle puts her back. Oh, that was hilarious. So, again, it's a fatal. So that might be a thing you can use for frame traps. But, also be really sketchy, though, because that's still a thing. Let's see. What else can I explain under pressure? Oh, yeah. General block strings. You can go into 2B. On 2B, you can jump cancel it. You can jump cancel it, go into pressure off that. I don't recommend that. Because you can still get 2B'd. Yukari doesn't fucking 2B. What the fuck am I doing? But, Yukari can't really 2B, but that's a general thing you have to worry about. And if you don't want to have to play that game at all, you can just air throw it. And that's consistent, so that's why I don't recommend jump canceling after. Like, even if you jump cancel backwards, like, you're not really going to punish them for it. And even then, that's just more a meta of, like, of what you can do after 2B that, like, just gets you out safely. So, if they see you blocked, if you see they block 2B and you think they're ready to try it, you could do 2 different options to bait that. You can do 2B into delay guillotine, which is like, which will catch him there. You can go into 2C, which will give you a much more interesting hit confirm. You can actually get a full confirm off that. I'm not showing it right there, but that's basically it. 2C on air hit ends up being leading to really funky confirms. Generally, when you want to go for throws, it'll be either off of like 2A stuff or when you're staggering, like here, just to establish that you need them to do something. Otherwise, you're gonna do stuff to them. Because just having the throw there point blank is the threat you want to establish. Just so they're like, I can't just sit here and block everything, or they're going to hit me. Or they're going to hit me with something, or they're going to throw me. Because due to her lack of a really good overhead, that's the problem she fights. Because Chain Knuckle has the OS I mentioned earlier. Because this is very easy to block, and because sweep is -6, and it's like there has to be all these frame traps around that. 5B has backdash cancel, and that's really interesting because it lets you scout out people a lot easier. Like if they're like, you would know immediately if they're really DP mashy just from doing that. Like, if you do that, they have to be actively mashing DP for it to come out that late. And so then it also, like, in that point, they might also panic if they're cornered and try to jump out, and there you can catch them with a lot of other stuff. Since you're way back here, And also, 5B backdash does make one very interesting thing, and it's the reason why I say guard cancel sucks. As you saw, you can actually invuln through guard cancels, sometimes on reaction if you're really feeling yourself. Let's see, so that's how you would go for a throw. That's how you would... let's go into her Oki. I mentioned this a little bit when I was talking about the arrow earlier, but yeah, let's go into that. I need to have a character universal. I need to have a character that universally has to worry about. Fucking... Let's try... Stretchy A.
And the heart is strength. I wish you good luck.
So I'm gonna explain the main basis of her Oki right here, and that is the arrow, which is fun. It's fun. It's a fun time. So here's how it goes. Set the dummy to not block. You combo in a sweep, set up an arrow, then go in. As I mentioned before, the arrow itself does not meaty, so there are usually situations to get out. Like, if you notice she okied you from really far, then she might decide to use sweep as her main meaty to put you into the arrow. You can roll out of that. Now you can roll out of that, but I don't recommend it for the reason I'm about to display. Even if you roll, you're minus afterwards. If she does sweep though, and if you have reasonable enough reactions, you'll be able to see it and then DP her for it. If she tries to do anything, she has a couple options she can try to be cute with it, like she can try to cross you up, she can do fake cross-ups, stuff like that. So I'm going to give you the answer for all of that. If she tries anything cute like that, just roll out. Just roll it. Because rolls are projectile invuln frame 1. Like, even when she tries like this, you could just roll out. If she's not hitting you immediately, you can roll out. If she's not hitting you immediately on wake up with either 5A or sweep, just roll. Just roll. Like 5A will catch your roll most of the time, but it's still very easy to mess up. So, and that still leaves it open to if you want to reversal her. Now she can jump cancel that, so certain DPs like Chie's are still really sketch. You don't want to wake up DP versus this Oki with Chie. It's not a good option because I can still get a punish off that. Let's see if I can actually get the dummy to properly do this. Yeah, see? No problem whatsoever. Uh, okay, so basically speaking, you would let's give her a scenario.
Welcome to the Velvet Room.
Let's go to the underlying character weakness, the part that she has problems with. Okay, you start the round. You decide to back off. You're playing neutral. You're fucking not in Awakening. You start the round. You decide to back off. You go down to blue. So now you also have no fucking meter. So you start off. You have no meter. So that means best combo you're getting is that. You moved up to green. 2 combos, you're still in green. A 3rd combo, you finally moved up to yellow. That's 3 combos, and you done total under 4K. Just off of 5A starters. If you did that off of them trying to jump out or mash roll. So her big thing is to make them panic hard enough. Now, then there's always the scenario of them just waking up with DPing, or like them blocking your pressure and DPing you. DP is a very constant looming threat, but if you can manage to stay in red, you can do all the fun stuff like that, because as you can see, when she does a fatal, when she does a red axe fatal, her meter gain is just absurd. Now, part of her game plan, you might be determined to be greedy and opt to use the C version of the Bull Super over the D version, because for those who don't know, C version does less damage, but still pretty good damage, especially in red axe. And will generally combo easier. Like, this is, I want to say, 7 frames faster than the D version. So if you can use that to end the round, do it. So you can save red axe for the next round and then like start off really strong. Because if you get the first hit, you're getting minimum 25 meter. By this point in time, you have 25 meter. With first hit bonus, if you get the first hit in the round, you are getting minimum 25 meter. So that's minimum 25 there. Now, one scenario she's going to have a problem with is if you decided to burn it. Is if you decided that you needed to kill him. You needed to kill him immediately. Like, he was at... It was about that health. And you really needed the kill. By all means, do that if it means a kill. However, you put yourself in a very peculiar scenario next round in that you're starting off in gray. So you will have to get 3 to 4 hits on him just to move your way back up to where you started. And that's the general weakness of her game plan that you have to worry about, other than the answers to her pressure. And while I mentioned 5C is chest attribute, I didn't mention that it also has gigantic gaps in that, like, that has a giant gap. It's a frame trap, but it's still a pretty giant gap if they decide to mash DP. So they can mash DP, they can mash reversal, they can mash a whole lot of things. That's not legit. Okay, just take my word for it. That's not legit. That's not legit. In fact, you can mash out of it with something other than DP. Like, you can mash out of it with 5B, get a 5B counter hit. On a crouch confirm. So, again, generally, it's a very heavy kind of grapplerish level of RPS you have to play on your block strings. But now with that out of the way, I can answer any specific questions you might have while I'm explaining the slight variances in how Shadow type Labrys works. Because Shadow type Labrys is a thing. Because Shadow type Labrys has some neat stuff next version, and so people might be tempted to pick her up. And so I figure I'll explain a little bit about her as well. Or at least her differences in pressure. So 5AA is the old one. It's the old one from Vanilla. It's Labrys' old 5A. It is really good, actually. It's only -1. Like, and -1 from over here. -1 from over here is really strong. So you can play around that really well. And it still has the old juggle properties. And now that you have Chain Knuckle there as a frame trap to keep them from mashing, you can set up your own pressure that way. You can either decide to end it with Chain Knuckle. You can end your pressure there when you're trying to bait mashing DP. Like that. Because of still her obscene pushback if they don't instant block. Or you could just keep resetting pressure, because it's like, yeah. It's also -1, which means it's pretty good for tech throws. And that's honestly just kind of, that's a Shadow type Labrys BNB I just threw together. She doesn't, because of her nerf damage, she only does 80% of regular Labrys' damage. So that's something that kind of gimps her. However, she does have the old vanilla Labrys thing of being able, if she goes into 5AA loops, she can reset into a fatal mid-combo. Like, so she gets better damage generally. And that's a pretty good knockdown. She does get meter constantly, so that she does get like really dumb meter. Like, let's look at this. Let's look at this here. Auto combo gave her 30 meter. All right, around 30 meter, I want to say. So you get that much meter. And Narukami touches you. And it's like, oh shit, I'm in corner. What am I gonna do now? And then you do wake up gears, and if he doesn't do if he's not waiting there and specifically baiting gears for the meterless answer, he won't have an answer for it. So he's gonna have to take that gears, which is plus on block, so you're out. And that's one of the advantages of Shadow type Labrys that makes her kind of fun. Again, as I said, she's kind of stuck doing this regularly, but you do have a lot of leeway to do the old SB Guillotine combos when you want to raise your axe level better. She isn't a character I actually like going into Shadow Berserk with very often. I feel she's just better with just the increased meter gain and having constant access to gears, since a lot of her combos will end up being meterless beforehand. And that's how you would do that. When you go into Shadow Berserk with her, one thing you can do to really increase your damage is to go into SB Guillotine into charge DP. Because you got to make sure it's off 2B, by the way, because if you do it off something like Sweep, there's not going to be enough time. There will not be enough time to guarantee that you'll get enough time to get the charge DP off. And that's because I dropped that combo. Also, don't drop combos. She'll die. She will die super hard. And I guess that's about all I can say about the character in general.
Welcome to the Velvet.
I guess I can start addressing certain matchups, but I think I'll probably save that to another day and leave that one at a time. Yeah, I guess that's it. I guess we're good. So Labrys' character, she's a character you gotta play around people's options with a lot. Let's recap it. Let's recap. That's a good idea. We'll go to Narukami stage. And the Almighty, because we're fighting Narukami. Okay, her options are based around getting that axe level higher. You can use meter to get it, but usually speaking, you want to save it so that you can kill them with Red Axe. Red Axe will just murder them. You can do less damage but save it for next round, or you can do all the damage at once to guarantee the kill, but kind of gimp your damage next round. I recommend the second option if you really need to, because you can get absolutely robbed in this game. Her pressure is frame trap in a 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 frame trap. Her neutral is based around either getting at this mid range and hitting them with the giant button, or getting here at full range, or getting here at long distance range, so that you can set up a bubble or something and then get into your mid range so you can hit them with a button. Close range is based off you getting out of close range so that you can hit them with your buttons, because their buttons are gonna win at this point. Unless they're like Sho or like Mitsuru or Margaret or something. Let's see. On defense, guard cancel sucks. It looks fine, but it sucks. Oh yeah, funny thing, that's a fatal in Red X. How nutty is that? Nuts, right? That was off guard cancel. Anyway, so guard cancel sucks because it's slow, but guard cancel roll is still really good because of its utility. Your DP's garbage. Your DP is garbage. Like, even when it's successful, it's not going to be counter hit. So it's just, it's really sketch. Bull Super is decent as a reversal, but it is still sketch if they have meter. It is really sketch if they have meter. Gears is really good. Gears is really good if you're cornered, and no other situation is good. Don't use it out of corner. If you're out of corner, do not gears. I repeat, do not gears outside corner. Brutal impact sucks. Let's see. If you can't hit them with 5A, sweep them. If you can't 2B them, just JB them. JB's 2B, you don't really want to use in neutral. It used to be that you really wanted to use it in neutral, but you don't anymore. Now you want to stick to 5A and sweep. Sweep is pretty good. Sweep is a really strong starter. It's a really strong starter preparation-wise. It goes under a lot of dumb shit, like Narukami's 5B. It goes under fireballs. It goes under a lot of nutty stuff, like Ken's 5B, Teddy's 5B, Junpei's 5B for some reason. Mitsuru 5A. Next version, it will go under Sho's and Minazuki's 5A, because that's a 2.0 buff. And so it'll go under Yukiko 5B, it'll go under Naoto 5B. I think it goes under a 5C, I'm not sure. It'll go under Margaret 5C. It'll go under her own Chain Knuckle and Shabris's too, so don't stress that. It'll go under Ken's 5B and the chain pull thing. It goes under a lot of things, so use it a lot. Never AOA ever. Never ever do that. And that's about it. I will do a separate stream for talking about 2.0 changes. And I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I'll see you guys later.